Hey everybody, my name's Adam Brous,
I'm Scott Maupin.
and this is Solutions from the Multiverse, where we bring you a new solution every week to your happy earballs.
So thanks for joining us, and come by each Tuesday morning. We'll have a new episode ready for you. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to Solutions from the Multiverse. I'm Scott.
I'm Adam. What's up, everybody? We're back.
Yeah, a bit of a hiatus, but same show with
New solutions, unheard of.
their timely solutions
Yes.
that aren't being happening now.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we can get straight into it.
Do it.
if we want
Let's do
to.
it.
Okay,
What do you got for us today?
2 words: ethical sabotage.
Ethical sabotage.
That's right.
Like listening to that Beastie Boys song while you're doing good things for people.
Let it roll. That's right. But ethically doing it.
So what is it? Describe
What is ethical sabotage?
Ethical sabotage.
Okay, so
What
you
are we
know
dealing with?
I'm a professor and I'm doing a PhD in ethics.
Yes.
And I have already now 4 papers published.
Okay.
And my PhD is almost done.
Bona
It's going to
fides.
take like a year more and then it's done. So I have some training now.
Street cred on
Yeah,
the streets of
on the
ethics.
streets of
On the
philosophy.
mean streets
Oh,
of
yeah,
I guess the nice
mean-
streets, the
that's
ethical
right.
streets of
Very
ethics.
nice. Very nice. I watched the show The Good Place just to prepare for this.
Okay.
So
Is that
very
an
ethical show.
ethic prerequisite?
Yep.
Prerequisite.
So I should say as a disclaimer, this episode is going to be a little spicy. The way ethicists often get somewhat spicy, we talk about hypotheticals. We talk
Okay.
about, should the people die? When can they die? Can you kill? Can you do things?
You guys
that
sit
are
around
bad?
and you
Can
go,
do
should the
things that are
people
good?"
die? That is
Yeah.
a conversation
Yeah.
ethicists have.
Ethicists have a sort
Should
of
the people die? And
Yeah.
someone's like, I say no. And someone's like, I say yes.
right.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. No, actually, that's very common.
What?
Yeah, that's very common. Like,
This is
if,
kinda- this
if
is
you
scary.
believe this, then in these cases, these people could be killed. In these cases, they couldn't. Like, yeah, or animals or people. Yeah, so there's a little
I
bit of
guess
like death
the
and
trolley
destruction.
problem.
The trolley
Is it
problem.
classic
Classic
people, would
example.
people die?
Exactly.
Okay.
The trolley problem. So we're going to talk about before the trolley leaves the station. We know the trolley for sure is going to like kill people that day. Can we go and like grind the gears of the trolley so that it doesn't run the next day?
Oh, so we are
That's the
we're using
question.
the trolley problem.
Well, we might as well
Okay.
because people are familiar with the trolley
Well,
problem.
let's
That's just our entree.
Yeah.
We can talk about other examples, but
Give me
what
a
if
quick
you know
lay out the setting
Yeah.
of the trolley problem?
So
for
the
me,
tro-
if
well,
I knew nothing about this.
The trolley problem is a trolley's going down a track, and if it keeps going down the track, you notice that is going to hit 5 workers who are working on the track.
Right.
But you see that there's a switch that you could like operate, and it would change the trolley to go on a different track. But you see that there's actually one person who's working on that track. So
Okay.
would you pull the switch to make it go to the 1 instead of the 5?
So you have the choice of pulling the switch to have fewer people die.
Right.
But
Right.
the conundrum is you are making a choice to kill
Right.
someone in that process.
And so in the ethical sabotage case, the question is, so you know somehow that this trolley is going to kill 5 people tomorrow. The question is, do you go at night and like grind the wheels or make it so that trolley is not going to leave the station tomorrow?
Okay.
In the most minimal way. You don't have to
Yeah,
blow
yeah.
it up or anything. Just, that the trolley can't leave if one of its lights are out and you just smash one of its lights with a baseball bat and then take off. Do you risk your own, being arrested for property damage and doing some damage to this trolley company's property in order to save 5 people's lives? That's kind of the setup of ethical sabotage.
Okay.
And if you say no, then that's fine. I mean, we're going to be open-minded here. Maybe you shouldn't do that. But some people might say, no, I would take it upon myself to take that risk and to do that because that would be better than having the 5 people die.
So the idea is instead of waiting until the action that needs to be stopped is happening, you go somewhere up the chain of events.
Right.
And you start
Do some property damage.
You start, increasing friction or making it more
right
cumbersome.
Right.
There.
Like maybe you call in a bomb threat to the trolley station and you're like, I know I need to do something to disrupt the functioning of this trolley that I know is going to kill 5 people tomorrow. So I'm going to call it a bomb threat, or I'm going to smash its tail light, or I'm going to put, sand in its gears, or I'm going to do something. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. So that's the idea of ethical sabotage.
So when all you guys with your monocles and your pipes sit around talking about this, what do you come up with? What is
do I? Well, this is a new idea. This is a new idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty underdeveloped realm of ethics. Actually, this question of because generally in ethics there's this like line like violence, like the word violence is very black and white, and smashing the trolley's gears is violence. That would be called violence.
Right.
It does harm. Right.
Some
and these
people
are
would
big
say
words in ethics.
The ends
Harm,
can't
violence.
justify the means if the means are violence, right?
Well, that's often the case. Usually there's kind of a lot of people have a kind of no tolerance ethic to violence. They're like, no, we should use non-violence. We should be not committed to non-violence. And generally that's good for a lot of reasons.
I like to think of that, but
there's a lot of reasons.
The ideal everyone.
Right. Yeah. And that's good. I'm in favor of non-violence. I'm a huge proponent. But it's interesting when you start to look at specific situations and you wonder if nonviolence doesn't work, or you don't have the means to do nonviolence, but you do have the means to do what I would call ethical sabotage, which I call it ethical sabotage and not some kind of ethical violence or something, because I don't want to open up like a Pandora's box of like violence can be ethical.
Okay.
I want to say sabotage. Like no one should be hurt.
Right.
In this.
You're not extending this to going like, well, if the trolley driver is kneecapped, then you can't drive the trolley.
That's right.
So that stops
that's bad. I mean,
you're saying
you'd have to do that if it was going to kill like 500 people. You might say, well, maybe now the kneecaps have come into
right. Sure,
I mean, it is a bit
shifts.
scaled, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, you take a way, way, way bigger risk to yourself and to your own cause if you start hurting people.
I think that's also a way, way, way bigger ask for people to do as a resistance thing.
Yeah.
If you're saying to people, hey, part of resisting this oppression is that you like mess with property, mess with stuff,
right.
that you're going to get a bigger
some people
joining on or being okay with, or better than if you're like, okay, now part of it is
you gotta kill people or you gotta hurt.
We're gonna have
people.
to take some heads.
Yeah. You only get the mafioso guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, you don't want to do that. And there's a trolley problem for this, which is called the fat man.
What?
Have you heard of this?
No.
I think they've altered it now to be like the man with the rucksack or something.
Not
because
fat man, like
the fat man,
the atomic bomb fat man.
Well, that's actually interestingly enough. It's funny that you say that. But let me tell you the fat man scenario.
This one?
So the fat man scenario is in someone after they did this original trolley problem where you have a switch. Someone later, I can't remember the exact person, but another ethicist said, "Well, what if you're on a bridge and you're standing next to like a fat man?" And you know that if you physically push the fat man over the edge of the bridge and he falls onto the tracks and is killed by the trolley hitting him, it also stops the 5 from dying.
Okay.
So
this is a man who needs to be investigated. By the way, because the ethicist who
the ethicists
comes up with
are
that
very
idea.
dark.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, the ethicists, we have a dark streak.
You'd be like, nice idea, Bernard. We are putting you on a list, but let's discuss.
Yeah. So what's fun? Not maybe funny, but interesting is that 90% of people, it's like 90-10, would say they would flip the switch to prevent the 5 from dying.
Okay.
But then it's 10-90 that they would push the fat man onto the tracks. When at the end of the day, it's it's similar. 1 person dies and 5 people don't. Right.
Right.
So it's sort of it's not totally the same because when you really wrestle the man off, you are going to feel differently about that.
Yeah.
And
plus,
so your own,
the people on the trolley are no longer getting to their destination on time.
Well, they aren't in the other one either.
I guess so. They go off to a different.
Yeah.
I was just happy that they were still making time, but
they're making time going in the wrong direction.
They're not going. Okay, so that's not a big difference.
But I wouldn't say they're exactly the same. They're not exactly the same, but there are, to your point, there's more resistance to the idea of like, I'm going to hurt someone physically, I'm going to be right there. But what if you gave food poisoning to the trolley driver so that they were just sick for a day? then you might feel like, yeah, I'd still be willing to do that, but I wouldn't be willing to like kneecap him, like damage his body, to the point where it's not going to recover fully. That's awful. Yeah. And really not only morally horrible, but also puts you really in the crosshairs of public opinion. People are going to say like, you're right. A whole bunch of the population is going to be like, you're bad.
The distinction between those two seems to me like to be one I would think falls squarely into the realm of cruel.
Yeah.
And the other one is
right. Smash a tail light so that the trolley can't go out. Yeah.
Right. But if you're just like, I've hobbled you for life now for my purpose this moment, then it's kind of like, oh, okay,
what if you knew that your friend, you had this horrible, family member who had turned into a terrorist, and you knew that they were going to crash a plane or something, and you bought a plane ticket to that plane, and then you got on the plane and you just like fiddled with the like oxygen masks and just like ripped 2 or 3 of them out so that there wasn't the plane could not take off. But you're actually doing a really good thing because you're like saving the whole plane from being crashed. Well, so that's kind of like, this is where we're at with ethical sabotage, is you're damaging things so that you avoid far, far, far worse consequences.
Fair. Although we've seen the plane thing play out, and then that's how Final Destination happens. Every single person from that flight. They come and get.
Did I just propose that we should start a Final Destination situation?
You're trying to get us to continue Final Destinationing other planes for.
It was only like 6 seats though, right? In the movie. This would be a whole plane full of people.
Receipt for investing in the Final Destination film franchise. Wow, you really bought a lot of. I know what's oh my gosh.
Final Destination. What are we on? 4 or 6? What are they on?
Whoa, they just had one, and it was pretty fun. But
those are fun.
I don't know.
Those are fun.
They're a little wild.
Yeah. So this has something to do with current events.
Does it?
If we want to go there.
No, absolutely. I mean, because we're recording this on a big protest day of action where there's a big, I've heard a general strike and other walkouts in Minnesota and other similar ones in other places.
I think there's a protest just 6 blocks from here in San Francisco.
Yeah. And I think like we talked about this a little bit, that I think general strike is kind of a form of sabotage in a way, because it's attempting to sabotage the economy for
but it's not. I mean, it's, in principle, though, it's not sabotage. I mean, just striking means you're sort of withdrawing cooperation. Right. It's a non-violent.
It's just taking a swipe at a structure that supports a lot of things.
Yeah. Something that kind of borders on this ethical sabotage thing that I've heard about recently is people making noise all night long outside the hotel rooms where ICE are. So that starts to be closer to like a sabotage, doesn't it?
Because you're kind following them. Oh, I guess not. Yeah.
But anyways, it's interesting to think like, so I'll give another example that, again, not advocating for anything here. We're talking philosophically and hypothetically about how to oppose whatever you oppose in the world, but we're using this case because a lot of people publicly are opposing ICE right now.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think of that as an example. But when there was all the Elon Musk protests, people started to do ethical sabotage because there was multiple attacks on Tesla lots and then also Tesla just cars that are private people's cars, which that I actually think is much worse than just a lot of Teslas full of Teslas that are like probably insured by the lot, and and if you painted them or smashed them or broke certain parts of them that could be repaired, but you added costs in a public kind of visible way, that was actually very central to Elon dropping out of all his political shenanigans. Was he started to be like, whoa, people are like literally destroying.
When I think members of his the boards of his companies were kind of like, hey, would you please get a lower public profile, please?
Right. I mean, if you go in and damage, I don't know, 20 cars, each of those cars is, $70,000. And even if the point is, even if it isn't a lot of damage, if you just do a little bit, it actually kind of grinds away the profit margins of capitalism, and businesses just can't operate. You don't need to destroy 100% of a business's revenue to destroy the business. You only need to destroy the profit margin,
the wedge,
and then the business stops being profitable, and now capitalism will destroy it. Capitalism will get rid of the whole thing, right? Because it's vicious, because that's what capitalism does.
So here's a question that popped into my mind. Would you consider hacking to be a form of ethical sabotage?
That's nice. That's called, have you heard of hacktivism?
I've heard of hacktivism. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I'm thinking like the group Anonymous or things like that, where they hack in a certain pointed way. They're not emptying bank accounts into their own bank account. They're doing different type of hacking.
Like an activist.
Yeah, it's not
hacking.
They don't directly profit from their actions of hacking.
It's like I don't think this is a real case, but it's like if Greenpeace like hacked the software on some oil platform or something.
They do that all the time.
Or some whaling.
Greta Thunberg is over there just hacking
I've never
away.
heard of that.
She types so fast.
I don't know actually. Oh, I do know one example of hacktivism that just happened. A woman, I think we know she's a woman. We don't know who she is because she's like a really good hacker, so she keeps her identity completely secret.
Okay.
She dressed up in a pink Power Ranger uniform. With the helmet.
Probably Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, it's probably rude. She took a real hard turn into cyber activism. But she dressed up in the pink Power Ranger outfit and she went to this famous, it's called Chaos Conference, I think. And it's like a hacker conference. And she went up on stage, and on stage she like shared her screen and hit like enter, and she wiped out a bunch of white dating sites, which are known to be where like white supremacists all hang out.
Oh.
And she like doxed everyone in them and deleted their database at the same time.
Whoa.
And everyone was like,
just brought the house down.
Yeah, it was like the coolest thing.
They're just like, Elvis.
She destroyed like 4 databases and doxed like millions of white supremacists and stuff. It was pretty wild. Yeah, people can look that up. It's a pretty interesting hacktivism example. That is absolutely like an ethical sabotage. I mean, I don't know if it's even that ethical, but because I mean, okay, white supremacists, their dating sites, like it's not a very directed attack, And I mean, white supremacists, I don't know. I mean, they're not great. I mean, I'm not like great. White supremacists are great, but you know what I mean? Like
you're going out on a limb, you're making that statement.
Like it's not a very directed. I think the tighter your spray is, the better.
Right. The scope of results you get from deleting dating sites is limited. Right. But there's other things you could maybe
I don't know, like if you're on JDate and you want to find a Jewish partner, is there anything wrong with that? Like, no, right? No one's going to say that's wrong.
Have you been looking at my phone? How'd you know?
Or there's like a Hindu, there's like a Indian one too. I forget what it's called, but And there's one, there's even a farmer one. There's a farmer
dating. There's definitely a farmer one.
Yeah, there's a farmer dating.
That one I know about. Yeah. I've heard.
What's it called though?
Only Farmers?
Is
it something like that?
Only fans?
That's what comes.
But it's only. No, it can't be. It can't be only
farmers own.
Sow your wild oats.
Find it should be called Grow Your Relationship.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, Fertilize.
That's cool. I'm terrible at this branding. Yeah, fertilize.
I like that. I like Sow Your Wild Oats. That's a good one. It's like Tinder for farmers, right? It's just a hookup site for farmers. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't think there's anything like wrong with, even Hinge allows you to sort by race. So I mean, whatever.
That jingle that we are farmers. Dun, 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 dun,
dun. Is it? No, that's State Farm. No, what is that? What are you saying? Anyways, that's hacktivism. Hacktivism is I think a type of ethical sabotage. Okay. And probably kind of a popular one.
Where are the lines in your mind of ethical? Because you're like,
I know we don't know
hurting people.
I know hurting people.
You don't want to go and like get rid of that. Chop someone in the back with a knife,
unless it's like an atomic bomb's going to go off. Then
so we're opening the door.
Well, you have to. If the damage is big enough, then isn't there kind of a proportionality?
This is the question. Right?
I mean, that's what all movies are about. I mean, guys kill people all the time in the movies. The hero kills a bunch of people just to get the bomb to not go off. So and everyone's like, they're the hero. They're great.
In a theory, like. I feel like some people are saying no. There's no like a Gandhi, in theory, would be like, nope, I'm not going to shoot someone to stop an atomic bomb because that's I have a zero. I have a
total commitment,
inflexible,
to
right?
nonviolence.
Exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
But you're right. There's a lot of people that would be like, yeah, absolutely, it's worth it for one versus the.
Well, I mean, like
cost.
I said, all Hollywood movies. I mean, all action movies.
Right.
You're like watching some hero kill like maybe 25 people in order to then prevent, some massive horrible thing that would kill or harm millions or hundreds of thousands of people or something. So we're constantly like, we're on board with it. Like our society is like on board with like, if there's a big
collateral
enough
damage.
Yeah, if there's a big enough danger
in the
that
course
there's
of-
some
yeah.
right. But I think if you're doing something more like opposing ICE, it's like a lot of people are being deported, some of it, much of it legally and just in a normal course of business, a lot of it not. And that's kind of
Right.
where people are mad, is where it's, the due process and, stuff. And obviously killing people. They've killed
That's
2 people now. It's horrible.
a bad look. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not like a million people dying in a nuclear explosion. So you can't.
And I think it's also just the look of everything. These guys showing up with masks and just like
it's
popping
awful.
out of
It's awful.
non-marked
Yeah.
vehicles out of nowhere and without.
awful.
It's just a major upgrade, and it looks like what we would expect to happen in other
Right,
countries
right,
that aren't this,
right,
which
right.
sucks too.
Yeah. No, I mean it's bad. It's
Okay,
bad.
so-
But I'm just saying, in terms of, we can't, in terms of like, you have proportionality, you definitely could not be like targeting, hurting people.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Not assassinating people,
and it
but like,
would not, or even hurt,
would it be
fighting people,
would it
punching
be-
people would be bad.
okay? So let's start at the bottom. Like, okay, banana in the tailpipe, but Beverly Hills
Let's
Cop
do it.
style. Banana in the tailpipe.
I think that's a good way.
That's-
I
that's
think banana
okay.
in the tailpipe's
That's ethical
good.
sabotage.
I think that's a fantastic way to do it.
Okay. What about like slashing tires or air in the like letting air out of tires and stuff?
Banana
Keying
in
a
the-
car doesn't do anything.
Banana in the tailpipe.
Classic.
I think
Foley.
a keying a car only works if the person or like the target is very, very conscious of the look of their car.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't really.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. Like dating,
It's a very-
deleting a dating site. Maybe it's not the most effective. Means
But it
to
might be. It might be
erase.
effective if you're just adding costs. Like, I heard that ICE rents all their cars in cities that they landed. Well, guess what? If those rental agencies
all come back.
all
messed
came back
up.
with car, or not came back, just if you figured out what rental agencies
right.
were renting to the ICE agents, and without even interacting with the ICE agents at all, you just went and like keyed 50 cars at their lot in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The next day, that rental agency is going to be like, we're not giving to ICE anymore. And now if you do that to like 5 or 6 rental agencies, no rental agency will
Well,
give
if all of them
cars
freeze
to
it out.
ICE.
Yeah.
Right. And now ICE can't get around without buying entire fleets of cars, which they can't afford to do. Right. Or
Right.
Presumably.
Unless they use our money.
Yeah. Well, they can if
right.
they do that, but then they can't use it on other things. It
Exactly.
starts to really
Yeah.
throw the brakes on them.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, an example where you start to see, and that's what we saw with Elon too. Like as soon as the Teslas on the lots, which are insured and no one's inside of them, and there's no one's getting hurt at all from doing this.
Right.
That's when you started to really see the frictions mount so much that then people came down from the top and said, even to Elon, like his investors and his board members were like, look, this has gone too far. But if no one had ever done those strikes, would anyone have ever said that? Might have tipped the scales.
Yeah.
So I wonder about that with ICE. I haven't heard of anybody doing that yet, though.
It's like a next level up of protest. I mean, it's separate from protest, but it's just like,
It is illegal.
it's in addition to, it's like, it's making it an uncomfortable spot for
Right.
oppression and in trying to
Yeah.
get your,
It's making sure the trolley doesn't leave the station in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
yeah.
But you can be
'Cause then
arrested
you
for
save
doing
all
that.
6 people.
And this, I mean, because we're not actually advocating anyone do this, we're just hypothetically, philosophers talking about it. And we can
Right.
talk about other examples.
we're
that
lazy.
aren't
We're
as-
not doing any of these
No,
things.
we're not. We're definitely
sitting-
not doing any of these things.
No.
But if you did say go and do this, which we're not, then you could be deplatformed for sure from anything. And so yeah. Another case where this has already been explored a little bit and in pretty good depth is there's a book that's called How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
I've heard of this. Wait, I've heard of this.
It's an
And
environmental
is there a
book.
movie about this?
There's a movie too. Yeah, they made a movie.
That's why I've heard of it.
Yeah. I didn't watch the movie.
It's like,
Did you
why
see
would I
the
have heard
movie?
of a book?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know.
That's okay.
Is it a
I
documentary
don't think
or
it's
a
a very good movie. No, it's a fictional movie.
I think
It's like
I
a
heard it
movie
was
about a group of
maybe-
people who are like, we're going to go blow up a pipeline. And there's all
Right.
this drama.
I think I just know it because that's a crazy name, but I
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
did not hear necessarily
Yeah.
amazing.
I did
stuff.
not watch the movie, but I did read the book.
Okay.
And the book is quite good. But he gets into this and he talks about how the environmental movement has been really, really disciplined and really, really like down to its roots, nonviolent. And they're like they do not like to do any kind of property damage or definitely not any damage to any humans or,
Right.
and he starts to kind of raise this question of like, is that actually the right choice, ethically speaking? Because in the environmental case, you actually are more like a Hollywood movie where you actually are going to damage like billions of life forms, sentient animals and humans are going to be damaged by climate change or if water, air gets polluted, like you really are harming, even killing many beings and people and animals.
Well, like if you chain yourself to a tree to stop them from cutting it down,
Sure.
like that stops them from cutting down the one tree.
Yeah.
But if you disable the bulldozer,
Right.
then it stops them from taking down all the trees.
Right. And maybe even stops them from being a profitable business anymore.
Yeah.
Like they have all their capital invested in these giant machines. If those machines, even on a 5% basis or 2% basis, are being destroyed, that might eat away half the profit margin of the whole damn enterprise.
Right.
And now the capitalist says, we're not doing this business. We're going to go to put our money in something else. We're going to go put it in mobile ads or solar panels. Like we're going to go put the money somewhere else because there's costs here that they weren't on our spreadsheet when we started because no one on the spreadsheet said, oh yeah, protesters are going to destroy 2% of our, revenue from costs. But then if those costs emerge, then you're going to stop. The capitalists are just going to say, we'll put our money somewhere else.
So what would you think in our example of the trolley problem, in our hypothetical, you're going up the chain of events and messing with the gears in the trolley.
Yeah.
Is it ethical to even go up the chain of events to that and like mess with the shipping routes that deliver the gears
there you
that
go.
eventually get built into this trolley?
Oh, so you're not just the night before. You're thinking like,
well, I'm just like, how far up these events can I go before I can't credibly say that I'm trying to affect that one event? I'm just now causing chaos.
But in an environmental case, you might just be saying, yeah, I'd love to cause chaos if I was an environmentalist who wanted to keep as much carbon out of the atmosphere as possible.
Yeah.
If I just screwed up the supply chain of like, some carbon emitting thing, planes, cars, whatever you think, fill in blank, oil, whatever, then that would be a success.
You're basically saying if I could wedge my giant shipping vessel in the middle of
that would have been if someone had done that on purpose, that would have been ethical sabotage, but it definitely wasn't done on purpose. Wait, are you introducing a conspiracy theory?
No, I just think that was just a delightful craziness.
What was that? What was it called? Something green?
Evergreen. The evergreen.
Yeah, the evergreen. Okay, everybody, we're here to lay down the conspiracy theory. The evergreen.
Turns out the globe
It
can
was
be
intentional.
brought to a halt
Yeah.
by a dude.
There's another book about this that actually I think borders into not ethical sabotage, but actual sabotage and actual violence.
Wait.
There's a book called The Ministry of the Future, which is all about people sabotaging the environment, like sabotaging to prevent climate change.
Gotcha.
It's quite good.
I was just going to be like, what's the difference between ethical sabotage and just regular sabotage? And I guess
Regular sabotage is not ethical sabotage. That's why I call it ethical sabotage.
regular sabotage is just messing stuff up.
As much as possible just to screw up whatever your enemy is. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you're like sabotage, okay, well, we're just going to like blowing up Nord Stream 2. You guys, Nord Stream 2? So there's a pipeline that was destroyed. It was blown up.
Okay.
But it's blown up probably by
Why
American.
did I think that was an airplane?
No, Nord Stream 2 is a pipeline that goes from Russia to Germany.
Okay.
Like it goes from Russia to Europe.
Yeah.
And so when the Russian-Ukraine war started, a couple days later, Nord Stream 2 blew up.
Whoops.
And it was no one knows who they did it, but it was probably American Special Forces because it was very deep. It was like a deep underwater pipeline. You had to have like a lot of special equipment to like get down there and blow it up and not be there when it blows up.
The idea being that this will prevent oil from going to
natural gas, but yeah, so it'll prevent Russian natural gas from going to Europe, which would make Russia have that much less income from that revenue stream. And so it was probably sort of like we probably couldn't said to the Europeans, stop buying natural gas from Russia. They would have said like, no, we really need to buy it because it's going to harm Europe to not have that natural gas.
Yeah.
Like there's literally old ladies in Germany that like are cold, and because they don't have that natural gas from Nord Stream 2, and the cost is very high for heating your home in Europe now because Nord Stream 2 was blown up. So the Europeans probably wouldn't have done it if we asked them. So the American Special Forces allegedly went to took it out.
Pulled the
right.
lever.
So that would be sabotage.
Well,
that's just called, I wouldn't call that ethical sabotage. I would call that sabotage in the interest of American national interest. This is not like an ethical thing. Okay. This is like an act of war that they did under.
Wait, everything America does isn't ethical?
Some ethical things we do. Some ethical things we do. Whoa. Like George W. Bush gave HIV medications to Africa, like really in this amazing way. That's not people don't talk about that enough, maybe. I mean, I don't support most of what George W. Bush did, but Americans sometimes, I think it's because we do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So then just out of our exuberance, a few things are pretty good and then most of it's pretty bad.
Well, I mean, if you're the president of an administration, there are probably people that are still doing good things for you.
Sure.
That seems like a blanket statement, especially right now. It seems very dangerous.
Well, now that they've kind of Project 2025, they've kind of, they've given, there's more that centralized the power around the president. In the past, there was just like administrative people that the president couldn't affect their job, and they're doing their jobs. They're going and doing things, right? And they were safe,
right.
Yeah. So anyways, sabotage is not ethical sabotage. No.
Ethical sabotage.
Sabotage has more constraints on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it has to be towards an actual moral good. It can't just be like national interests or.
Can we come up with some other hypothetical versions of what that would look like? Is that because you're saying messing with cars maybe, or would it be impeding? I don't know. I guess you have to. Well,
so I'll give one example that I don't think is good, which is blowing up a pipeline. I don't think that's ethical sabotage. I think it's because it's going to have too much negative effects on too many people to the point where they could die of like cold, right? If you destroy a pipeline, you might really harm people's ability to heat their homes, and like some older people and babies and stuff are going to like die from being exposed to cold.
Yeah.
So that's not good. So I think definitely he provocatively called it how to blow up a pipeline, but actually I think in a way I don't believe that is sabotage that people should engage in ever. I think that's unethical sabotage, unless the costs,
because it has too many there are too many X factors that you can't account for that are potentially
harm
negative.
People. That are going to really
lethally
harm people. Yeah, but
there they are.
There they are. They're coming for us already.
Somebody told them, "Have I been live streaming?" Oh no!
Oh my god! So here, okay, I can give you an example.
Yeah,
because I did do research on this. I do want to write a paper about this. I want to write this all up. So your question about what the exact parameters are is very smart. I don't have those laid out yet, but something like don't hurt people and have a target, and have the target be proportional to what you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
And don't be on the wrong side of public opinion. Like public opinion should be able to kind of be like, yeah, I see that. Like, I understand that. I think it also has to do with estimating your enemy, your opposition. So like you said, Gandhi would never do any violence. You're probably right. But Nelson Mandela was the general of the army of the South African Union,
right?
The black, the kind of anti-Afrikaans, anti-apartheid government. I mean, he was on the side of that. He was the general, and he did sabotage against Afrikaans infrastructure, but it was mostly sabotage that was trying to not heard it was kind of like, I think it was close to an ethical sabotage is what he was doing. So they'd like smash train lines and smash radio lines and, hinder military and other things in order to fight apartheid. And at that point, that really is proportional to like a big harm. Apartheid was harming 98% of the population of South Africa was black and was being harmed. So, so doing things that even were a little riskier or might have hurt some people who were around there who were like soldiers or something, it starts to become more acceptable. So I would say you look at Gandhi, very committed to nonviolence. You look at Nelson Mandela, also in favor of nonviolence, but his enemy was Afrikaans, and the Afrikaans were basically Nazis. They were like white supremacist fascists, whereas the British were like not. They were like colonists, and they weren't great, but they were like, they would kind of fair play. They kind of believed in like, they believed in like that the Indians had to sort of cooperate with them. Yeah. And if the Indians refused to cooperate with them, they just couldn't rule them and they just left. But the Afrikaans were like, no, you don't have to cooperate with us. We're going to force you to be.
It's just going to be brute. Yeah. So it seems to me like ethical sabotage, you can look at it kind of thinking it like kind of a military terms where you're like, oh, where are the resources and where are the supply lines, where are the travel lines, where are the logistics, and we can like strategically or whatever, we can target those things or those weak points. You're looking to try and like hit resources and things like that. If I'm thinking about this as
it does start to be like you're thinking like, it's like you're thinking like a military, but again, militaries are like, let's kill people and let's like really, really hurt our opponent. So it's not like that. It's this weird gray area that hasn't been well defined.
Yeah.
Because nonviolence has been defined by Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and there's a kind of actually a thing that I'm an expert in. There's all this interesting research about that. And then there's like war and violence that's been studied approached for thousands of years. But there's this weird in-between area that like, I think the fight against the South African apartheid in South Africa might be the closest case where the enemy was really rough. But then there might be other cases like banging pots and pans outside of people trying to sleep starts to get there.
So I'm an audio guy. What about, here's one. What if I'm there's going to be a press conference for somebody who's maybe a terrible government person and, oh, look, their microphones aren't working.
Sure.
Like microphone, electricity is not, for some reason, there's something wrong with the,
Sure. And now their message doesn't go out. They can't call.
They can be mad at me, but I can just be like, shrug equipment. It's just, who knows?
Think about the Tutsis and the Hutus, the Tutsis and the Hutus.
Okay.
In 1994, there was a genocide in Rwanda.
Yes.
And it was the Tutsis versus the Hutus.
I know about this.
And it was
the Hotel Rwanda.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Of course. That's all I know about this.
I know. And the call was put out over the radio to do the genocide. So if ethical sabotage, if someone knew that some radio station was going to do that, and then that day they went with an axe and they chopped at the wires so they couldn't do it, that would be good. That would be like a good thing. And so there's this ethical sabotage zone that isn't like killing people and war and stuff, but it's also not like sitting at the counter and saying I'm doing a sit-in. It's this other thing.
Yeah.
And so honing in on it is the question,
It's also the matter of timing, because like you could imagine going back if you have a time machine. Oh my gosh, it's become so much easier.
So good. You know how good you are at things with a time machine?
Man,
playing the stock market, and there's all kinds of things you could do.
If you had a time machine, sure. But it's like identifying the things that you need to do now. And I guess
right. You have to think strategically, tactically, but not in a violent way, in a ethical sabotage way. I mean, that's the thing. I'm trying to carve out like a zone, because the word violence includes nuclear bombs and breaking windows. And to me, if you say we are against violence, I'm like, okay, but I feel like there's something down close to breaking windows that you aren't actually against.
Right.
And so I want to hash that out. So you can be like, yeah, we embrace nonviolence. Great. You probably want a whole wing of your movement to just be nonviolent. And then you probably don't want a wing of your movement to be outright violent. That's pretty scary and can act, can be more volatile and dangerous.
Right.
But you might want part of your movement to be like on this ES, ethical sabotage zone and really smart about what they do. I mean, that's why they need the guidelines, is so that they can really smartly pick targets and do strategies that are going to not blow up in their faces or hurt people, or right. But it is going to have the effect that they want.
You need the ESSF, the Ethical Sabotage Special Forces.
That's right. And they can
they're trained in identifying the things to tackle and mess with that aren't gonna mix with people. You know, they're not
not gonna
you're not like poisoning the reservoir.
No.
But you're doing something more targeted.
But you might make it so that the pipes are clogged or something. You're clogging the pipes. The
tailpipes are clogged with bananas. That's what we're saying.
I love the banana. I'm telling you. Banana in the tailpipe's great. That's a good one. Banana in the tailpipe. You know, if you want a manual for this, there is a manual for ES, for ethical sabotage.
Okay.
It's called, the CIA wrote it.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
that's very helpful.
It's called the Simple Sabotage Manual, or it's just called Simple Sabotage. And then there's a manual how to do simple sabotage.
Why would the CIA? Is it for their own agents, or
what they have is
they just wanted a bestseller?
What they wanted was agents to be trained in exactly what we're talking about. They didn't want agents to, throw pipe bombs in the windows and, assassinate people, because then that would just, they would lose their secretness, right? Because you would know who did that, right?
If you were the undercover trying to get deep in the mafia and they let you into level 1 and you're like, guess what, idiots? I'm a cop.
Yeah,
You're like, okay, thanks for telling us. You're out now.
Exactly. So what they said, they wrote this whole manual, and it's about simple sabotage. They call it Simple Sabotage, and it's not the same as ethical sabotage, because their concerns, again, they're like a military. They don't care about ethics. They care about advancing American interests, and if you kill people or do bad things, they don't care. But the tactics inside this Simple Sabotage Manual are very good tactics, I think, to line up with what ethical sabotage, people trying to do an ethical form of sabotage, should look at and maybe copy. So they talk about things like, salt or sand in gears. So there's lots of machinery that have very fine gears, and they're often just open to the air in like a factory. And if you just take like sand, like dirt, and you just drop it into those gears, they will stop working in 3 days. They'll run and run and run, and it'll just grind them until they just stop, because their machining will just wear down. Yeah. And it's great. Now you just shut down that factory until they can take the whole machine apart and replace all the gears. And they're like, why is there dirt in here? There's, and no one dies and no one's hot, right? Yeah. And so that's one example, just dust, dirt in the gears.
And they're really crucial, a tiny thing, easy in a crucial part.
If there's some newspaper that, say you have some newspaper that's controlled by the Tutsis, and they're trying to kill the Hutus, and you're like, this newspaper, we need to shut it down. Sand in the gears of the newspaper machine, that newspaper will stop working in a couple days. Right? Oh,
so I was just going to say, make everyone stop doing things so there's no news to print. That would
just have no news.
Yeah, then they have blank papers now.
That would be a very Kafka.
We messed you up. Now
newspaper.
Nobody's doing anything.
Just goes
no news. I guess that would become the news story, is that there's
no news.
Top story. Top story. Extra. No news.
No news. Can you believe it?
News flash. No news.
Flash. Nothing going on. Nothing doing. That's kind of the news that we have 90% of the time. Not these days, not with Trump, but before Trump, during the Biden. Remember Biden? It was the news was just nothing. A squirrel caught in a tree, a cat caught in a tree.
I kind of liked that better.
We all
so
did.
much.
We all did. Yeah.
So where do I get this CIA? Do I go
PDF?
Down to my local?
You can just download it. It's
CIA
all open source now. Oh. You can just download the CIA Simple Sabotage Handbook and read it.
Okay.
And it just tells you, Then one of them's sand in the gears. Another one's misplacing things. If you just go in to the warehouse and there's a pile of the stuff that they need every week or every month, and it's there, and you just take it in a big bag and just put it over in another part of the warehouse.
Relocate.
Creative
relocation.
Right. So when people come to find it, they're like, oh my God, we don't have what we need. And then they call back and we don't have the thing we need. Oh, and they're thrown off for a whole day while they look for it. And then it's there. No one thinks someone sabotaged it. They're just slowed down by this, simple sabotage. But you can sabotage. Yeah. So ethical sabotage could be used very broadly. The environment, carbon, right? There's a case of ethical sabotage in the environment. There were some, I think it was in France. There was a very large cement factory that like ships cement all over the world. And cement is a major carbon contributor. It's like 3 or 4% of carbon every year is from cement. Because when you dry cement, it does a chemical reaction and carbon dioxide is released. So it's like a major thing. So these environmentalists, they got all this like gear and like tethers and stuff, and they like rope climbed their way up into like the machinery of the cement factory.
Okay.
And they had to shut the factory down because otherwise they'd be like smashed by the machinery. Like they'd be smushed. It's a technical term.
And they're like, we don't have the liability to.
Yeah. So they just were like, well, we can't run the factory. And then they lived up there for like days. They like brought food and water, and they were like ready to camp out up in this machinery. And they shut the machine down for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. And it was like really to the margins of the company, it was like hugely damaging. And so that's a good example, but it wasn't in a way sabotage, because again, environmentalists are very committed to nonviolence, and so they didn't harm anything. They didn't smash anything. They just put their physical bodies in the way.
Right.
So that's cool. I'm not like, and I think also it's an open question if ethical sabotage, how it will work and when it will work exactly. We don't know, because again, it's this new thing.
What if a group of people break into a place where they're testing on animals, and they free the animals?
Sure. That's
and
like
let the animals free. Is that ethical? Like, is it ethical?
It's somewhere in that vein, isn't it? Because no one gets harmed.
Okay, now one of those animals has the zombie virus, and you just let the zombie. You just started the zombie apocalypse.
That's 28 days later. It's a great
I didn't
movie.
tell you this fact, but you just walked right into my trap, sir. But so would you say, so we talk about the hypothetical, the trolley problem. You mess with the trolley so it can't leave the station.
Right.
And that is a superior, because that saves all 6 people.
That's true. That's
no other saves everybody.
Right. But it harms the property of the
you're
trolley
at risk.
company. And you're at risk because you could be arrested for vandalism.
Right.
Which vandalism, is it even a felony? I don't even know if it is. There might be like felony vandalism and misdemeanor vandalism.
And I've heard people talk about the idea of like, fill the jails up with people doing minor things, and then you have to kind of like force them to reckon with the fact of, are we really arresting people for the right amount of stuff, or are we maybe putting our force in the wrong direction?
I mean, unfortunately, America has so many prisons that probably they wouldn't say that.
This is true.
Although they're crowded too. As many as we have, they're actually quite crowded. So maybe it would have some effect. I don't know. I think a lot of the nonviolent cases, the really, really embracing nonviolence, again, you have to look at your opponent. Is your opponent like a reasonable British man who like kind of like believes in fair play and kind of wants you to be like cooperative?
Yes.
And if you're not, he's like put off, Or is your opponent like a really like hardcore fascist jerk who like does not care and actually relishes in you like being a soy boy protester,
right?
And just relishes in like brutalizing you, then you might have to change your approach, right? Kind of like the way Nelson Mandela. There was a big debate in South Africa. You can read all about this if you read about the South African anti-apartheid movement. But there was a huge debate because Gandhi invented nonviolence in South Africa. Not a lot of people know that, but he was in Durban, which is like an Indian enclave in South Africa. And he was there being a lawyer after he lived in London and trained as a lawyer. And when he was in Durban, there was like anti-apartheid stuff going on. And he was like, we should use this thing. And he developed it there. And then he took a boat back to India,
right,
and was like, now let's do this in India.
Yeah.
So it was actually developed in South Africa. So in the South African movement, there was a lot of people who were like, let's use nonviolence against the Afrikaans, against the English and Afrikaans, against apartheid. And they were like trying to do that. And it was not working very well because the Afrikaners were like brutal, really brutal white supremacist fascists who did not care that they were like protesting. They just were like, no, we're going to just take them out.
They didn't see them as they were don't think they were looking at them as human. They were
Absolutely
like,
not.
they're like, people
Absolutely
are,
not.
these are
Yeah.
not, we are different than these.
It was a deep,
us
deep,
people are
deep,
different than
deep
those people.
racism.
They're
Yeah.
completely.
And the British had a kind of racism too. They were like, they call them the coolies. That was like a negative term for India, like they were not like thinking of them as equal or something, but it was different. The British were more like, fair play and kind of, well, if you cooperate, then we can kind of do this, but if you're non-cooperative, then I will take my things and go, and that's what they eventually did, without major warfare. I mean, without any major warfare, without the pressure, international pressure, the British receded from India, but the Afrikaners required massive global sanctions and decades long, like, sabotage and really serious protests, like all the children refusing to go to school for 10 years. Yeah. Like that was a thing that happened in South Africa. It actually hobbled that whole generation because an entire like swath of young people would just never went to school because it was like a form of protest. So,
I think honestly, one of the things that probably keeps more sabotage from happening is that we have the right to protest, because you let people.
That's true.
You let people get it out that way. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying
that's
protest,
good.
But in places, especially, I think of like super domineering places where you're not allowed to do that. That urge has to only come. It can only come out one way, and it's going to be like, I got to mess with stuff in secret.
Yeah,
that I think is going to be effective, but not put me at risk or be directly.
I think that the opportunity with ethical sabotage that I take really a responsibility. Like I really want to develop this idea and I want to write this paper where I really try to lay out what could be like the parameters and stuff, is because so often, like you're saying, that, you're protesting and it's not working, or you're protesting and you get cracked down on and you can't protest. You get pressure, like people get pressurized and their only valve is like violence. And I don't want violence. I think violence is really dangerous and bad and kind of volatile. Like it can kind of go in directions that you don't predict.
Well, once it starts, it's like an avalanche.
And you get retribution and you get all these justifications, and you often lose the battle for public opinion very rapidly when you go towards violence. And then you're kind of, harming your own mission by going that way. But I think that because the word violence is breaking glass and nuclear bombs, like, as soon as your right to protest is squashed, or your ability to be successful by protesting is quashed, you go all the way to like, let's kill people. And it's like, what if we could create another zone that was actually had way better outcomes? Even if my opponents were doing this, my opponents in society would probably never do this, because my opponents, if I would just say, let's talk and then figure it out. But so they would never be forced into this. But I
like it.
Yeah. So it's meant to be a kind of
a managed mischief,
a reservoir. It's like a reservoir so that you don't valve out to violence. You kind of valve out into this safe reservoir where you kind of escalate things, but you don't escalate them to violence. You escalate them to like sand in gears and like misplacing things in factories and stuff, which is way better than like blowing up the factory and like, killing the foreman and stuff. You don't.
If all of a sudden your bureaucracy is filled with Mr. Beans, then it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, you brought up, when we were discussing this before, you brought up slowdowns, which is an interesting thing. Like administrative slowdowns. Yeah.
Like maybe you find yourself working for a organization and you're just like, oh, I'm a cog in the machine. Well, maybe I can be a sandy geared cog.
Yeah. I can just be slow at it.
Yeah.
Or even like I've heard following every single rule is a thing.
Oh yeah.
Like every single rule.
Super pedantic.
Yeah. Every meeting you sit down and you say, we still haven't filed form 4234A and we can't have this meeting until we file that. Like, and then people are like, oh my God, geez, he's such a stickler for the rules.
I hate to be this guy. I am so sorry. I would love to get on with things, but we just gotta
we
do it.
gotta file this thing. It's not done, you know. So yeah, so if people could take a job at ICE or go work for some oil company and be like, wow, we just can't make this oil platform until we really got to do these little things, you know. So yeah, but those I think are still in the
trick is finding
that's nonviolence though. That's not ethical sabotage.
I was gonna say, finding the middle ground where you're ineffective enough to be ineffective in there, but not ineffective enough to be fired for,
because you want to be
being
fired.
bad at your
ethical sabotage, you would be fired if it was ever discovered that you did it.
Yes.
Like that's where you're crossing in this line of like you are actually taking some risk. Yeah. So and you shouldn't do it willy-nilly. I mean, you should only do it if the consequences are really
I mean,
ethically,
it's right there in the name.
Right, it's right there in the name. So anyways, so that's a new idea, which I should have said at the beginning. But this is a new idea. I mean, there's the book How to Blow Up a Pipeline. He starts to get into this, but he doesn't fully say
commit to
there's this realm of actions that are ethically sanctioned in, you know, under these parameters that are violent, but again, violent in the hiding things in a factory violence or sand in a gears violence, not kneecapping or, you know, starting a fire, God forbid. That would be because you can't control fire. It can go anywhere. That's not a good ethical sabotage.
You can't control fire?
Not.
Oh.
Are you Pyro, the X-Man?
I mean, I've been working on my telekinesis.
Pyrokinesis.
My
pyrokinesis? Pyrokinesis. I think that's right.
I think so.
That's awesome. Pyrokinesis. What a great word.
No, but yeah, that's stuff when it can get out of control is obviously on the other side of the line for unethical.
Right.
Because now you might be doing more harm than good. But
so new thing.
All right.
Don't go out and do it, but talk about it more.
I thought I was going to be more like, oh no, we can't talk about this. But I think you framed it well, and I understand what you're talking, and that makes a lot of sense.
Certainly academic. I mean, we're just two philosophers.
We're not
talking hypothetically.
Yeah,
about
but I mean,
political change. We're not telling anyone to go.
But this is, I think we're safe on this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I mean, until after I get AI to say, you say a bunch of things you didn't say, and then I'll add it.
No, deep fake. We should do a deep fake episode.
That is our cover. Is we can always say if we get in trouble for something, we'll be like that part, that one episode, that was added by
that
AI,
one section. That was our enemies.
That wasn't real, Mike.
Yeah, that was hacktivism. There was another hacktivism.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool. I mean, I think we got the whole idea. I think we got the whole solution.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome.
And this is awesome. Thanks for coming back.
We're back.
Being back in, and we'll see you again. Next
time.
Send
us questions. Leave comments if you can on the Spotify. You can leave comments.
Is that where
that's the only place you can comment on a podcast?
I've seen Spotify.
But if you're not on Spotify, then you have to email us.
What's the
solutions from the multiverse@gmail.com.
There you go.
And you can send us mail. We'll do mailbag episode if people send in questions or solution problems they want solutions to. We can do that. Yeah.
Are we going to get on TikTok?
We're not on TikTok.
What?
TikTok's dead now.
I've been practicing my dances for no reason.
I heard TikTok's dead now because it was taken over by.
I heard it.
And now people are not into it.
Yeah, they were like, freedom, make TikTok. What happened? Oh, not non-freedom? Wow. Oh, yoke's on us. That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Yoke on our faces. Yeah.
Boo-boo.
Yeah. But yeah, we're back. Excited to keep sharing solutions with people and
absolutely
bring this community, the small community now, 200. So we have about 200, 500. We have like,
I didn't count them all, but
I think it's something like that, or maybe 1,000 total. But that's a small community. But hey,
it's a real one.
It's cool, and these are cool ideas. And they when we put them out in the world, I think it gives them a chance to happen. And if we don't put them out in the world, then they kind of can never have a chance. So,
and they're both timely and evergreen.
That's right.
This is timely. This is the time, and
you could also listen to this 10 years from now, and it would still be interesting. Right. Yeah,
and we know evergreen is the way that you block shipping.
That's how you block shipping vessels.
Yeah.
Whoa, throwback! You throwback to back.
All right.
We'll
see you
next
next
everyone.
time.
The solutions are out there in the multiverse. Go find them.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey there. Thanks for listening to that episode of Solutions from the Multiverse.
Yeah, we're back with a little after roll. Hello.
Hey, after roll. Roll that after roll. So basically, we want you to subscribe.
Yeah.
And rate and review and tell someone, like take your favorite solution and send it to someone who you think it would like blow their mind to hear it.
Yeah. We love making the show. We're proud of it. And we're excited. We want other people to show. We know that the main way people find podcasts is word of mouth. I know that's true for me. I listen to my friends who also listen to podcasts tell me about ones and I go, okay, I'm cluing into that. So we want to be part of that chain.
So thanks for being a part of Solutions.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Bye.